Monster Hunter Wilds is putting pathetic Western devs to shame. Despite only being in beta, Monster Hunter Wilds has already managed to captivate the gaming community, hitting an all-time peak of 464,000 concurrent players, all diving in at the same time. Meanwhile, Western-produced Dragon Age The Veilguard, with its hefty budget and orchestrated hype machine, could barely muster a mere 70,000 players at its launch. Yet, despite pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into production, hand-picking review codes to ensure favourable coverage, and sparing no expense on an over-the-top promotional campaign, nearly 7 times as many players flocked to the Japanese-developed Monster Hunter Wilds that weekend instead. Hilariously, it seems that all the strategic marketing in the world couldn't save the Veilguard from being thoroughly overshadowed by a beta test of all things. So, join me today as we dive into why the Monster Hunter franchise is garnering so much excitement, especially this upcoming entry, while so many Western studios are scrambling and failing to produce titles that gamers actually want. I am Lady Decade. Hit that subscribe button. This is why players want more games like Monster Hunter Wilds and less from companies like Ubisoft and EA. Monster Hunter Wilds is currently attracting gamers' attention for all the right reasons. This upcoming video game, set for release on Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5 and Windows PC, is the highly anticipated new installment in the popular Monster Hunter series. Known for its immersive worlds, strategic monster battles and cooperative multiplayer gameplay, in Wilds players will be able to venture into expansive, untamed environments to track and hunt a variety of powerful monsters, each with unique behaviours and habitats. This installment looks to introduce fresh mechanics and an updated ecosystem, enhancing the depth and realism of the monster hunting experience to levels never seen before. Due to its insane beta phase popularity, Wilds has captured widespread interest, drawing record-breaking player engagement and generating excitement for both longtime fans and new players alike. The buzz now surrounding this game is off the chart, so it's unsurprising that so many people are keen to add it to their shopping list. Here's what makes getting the title absolutely irresistible. Usually, pre-ordering games doesn't come with much incentive, but in this rare case, if you pre-order using my affiliate link, you'll score an incredible 24% discount. That's right, you get almost a quarter off the game price if you pre-order right now, making it one of the most affordable options you'll find on launch day. Just as useful, I can get you up to 90% off of thousands of other AAA, modern, indie and retro titles. Just click on my links in the pinned comment to access unbeatable deals and fill up your gaming library for a fraction of the cost. There's something here for everyone, so dive in, start saving, and happy gaming. While there have certainly been a lot of great games released this year, let's not ignore the avalanche of bloated, big-budget failures that gamers have collectively dismissed without a second thought. Take the PlayStation brand's Concord, for instance, a game no one wanted to play, supposedly tailored for the modern audience. This $400 million catastrophe flopped so hard that it actually makes Kevin Costner's infamous Waterworld look like a sound investment, and that's not even exaggerating the situation. It's almost impressive how far off the mark these Western devs keep landing. Oh, and then there was Suicide Squad's Kill the Justice League, the magnum opus of stupidity and soulless corporate greed. Who could have guessed that cramming a live service model into a game about edgy anti-heroes who want to tear down the system was such a terrible idea? Filled with little more than bugs and underwhelming missions, meant that the overall lack of content this game contained resulted in the title becoming a financial sinkhole. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was supposed to be Rocksteady's next big thing, but all it did was crash and burn, leaving fans wondering how a studio that once had it all could miss the mark so spectacularly. All this criticism is without even mentioning what some see as one of the most obnoxious trends infecting so many Western developed games today: the relentless, ideologically driven, so-called progressive moral policing and social preaching. It seems every game now from the West feels the need to shoehorn in heavy-handed messages about gender, diversity and identity, as if players need constant lectures instead of being allowed to just enjoy a game. This immersion-breaking forced approach is driving countless gamers to avoid nearly anything released by big Western AAA publishers these days. It's almost as if these companies have forgotten that the average consumer is here for fun, not for preachy, fringe political nonsense. Then, of course, there's Dustborn, a game that practically begs to be memed, and it's no mystery why. This is a game that takes itself so seriously with its words as weapons concept, yet somehow manages to come across as both unintentionally hilarious and eye-rollingly absurd. The main character has the oh-so-impressive ability to cancel enemies by weaponizing words to manipulate their emotions or halt their actions altogether, making her feel less like a bold resistance fighter and more like an overly zealous reset era user on a power trip.
You've been cancelled.
It's as if Dustborn thinks it's profound, but the results are more laughable than inspiring. An easy target for players who can't help but mock its attempt at lecturing us. At the same time, 460,000 people logged in to try the Monster Hunter Wilds beta test. This was, of course, the time frame that many players were cringing about moments they had seen in Dragon Age The Veilguard. Directed by trans creator Corinne Bush, it strides forward with a character creation mode that seems to think it's pushing boundaries by offering options like top surgery scars front and centre, but in true progressive fashion, it leaves out something as straightforward as the ability to create female characters with, let's say, generous curves. Because, of course, inclusivity means representing everyone, except anyone who might want a character with a more traditional feminine silhouette. The irony. Building on this, the medieval fantasy game contains dialogue heavily incorporating cringe-inducing modern identity politics, which has drawn more criticism and polarization. For example, the game includes a scene where a character does push-ups to atone for misgendering another, followed by a lecture on proper apologies. The scene comes across as a self-parody, prioritizing performative gestures over genuine, enjoyable storytelling, leading to well-deserved backlash from those who hate being told how to feel. Many players turn to gaming as a way to escape the everyday noise of modern issues, hoping to immerse themselves in worlds that transport them far from the stresses of real life. So it's no surprise that games overly focused on developers' ideological beliefs are driving so many players away. When a game becomes more about pushing a particular perspective than about creating a captivating escape, players are yearning for more adventures that leave reality behind. This is why games like Monster Hunter Wilds are becoming increasingly important. Monster Hunter games are the epitome of escapism, providing players with vast, immersive worlds that feel completely detached from the worries of modern life. There's little in the way of moral agendas or social commentary, just pure, unfiltered adventure. The thrill of tracking down massive monsters, strategizing to take them down, and mastering a variety of unique weapons and armor transports players into a primal, adrenaline-filled experience that taps into a sense of discovery and challenge, and the very hunter-gatherer instincts we have lurking in our DNA. Repeatedly, the franchise has offered worlds that feel fresh and alive, where players can lose themselves in epic battles and enjoy the camaraderie of teamwork free from the complexities of modern-day issues. It's an escape in the truest sense, allowing players to embrace a world that's beautifully simple, exhilarating, and completely separate from modern life. So it's no surprise that close to 7 times as many people were keen to play Monster Hunter Wilds over the morally righteous Dragon Age. The Monster Hunter series, developed and published by Capcom, is now beloved. The series' popularity even eclipses franchises such as the well-celebrated Street Fighter and Resident Evil franchises that are well cherished in the West. However, in Japan, Monster Hunter has been big business for decades. Debuting in 2004, Monster Hunter has grown into a massive series with an evolving history, gameplay and loyal fan base. Originally showing up on the PlayStation 2, the first Monster Hunter introduced the players to the core mechanics of hunting large monsters and gathering materials to craft weapons and armor. Its focus on multiplayer gameplay in this sort of environment was also a fresh concept. This game laid the groundwork for the series' central gameplay loop and built a loyal niche fanbase. Gamers across Japan were falling in love with Monster Hunter. But Monster Hunter World, released in 2018, would be the first game to truly achieve mainstream popularity in the West. While earlier entries like Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate for the Nintendo 3DS gained a dedicated Western following, World was a game changer due to its more accessible design, open world structure, seamless environment transitions, and improved multiplayer functionality. Capcom made several strategic changes in World to appeal to a broader audience, such as streamlining mechanics like tracking monsters and upgrading equipment, and enhancing graphics for consoles like the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. These changes made the game more inviting to new players, and its release on popular home consoles further broadened its reach. Monster Hunter World quickly became Capcom's best-selling game of all time, significantly boosting the series' popularity in Western markets and establishing Monster Hunter as a global franchise. The Iceborne expansion, released in 2019, continued this momentum, offering even more content and keeping the Western fanbase highly engaged. Building on this forever growing momentum, Monster Hunter Rise, released in 2021, quickly became a major success and further solidified Monster Hunter's popularity in the Western market. Developed for the Nintendo Switch and later ported to PC, Rise introduced innovative mechanics like the wire bug, which allowed players the unprecedented mobility to zip through environments and engage in dynamic aerial combat. The addition of Palamutes, rideable canine companions, also streamlined exploration, enabling faster movement across the maps. The game's Japanese-inspired setting, Komura Village, introduced a fresh cultural aesthetic which, combined with new features like wyvern riding and the intense rampage mode, gave the game a unique identity. Rise achieved critical acclaim for its fresh gameplay approach and user-friendly experience, capturing the interest of both new players and long-time fans. Once again, in terms of popularity, Monster Hunter Rise soared to impressive sales, with over 12 million copies sold globally, a remarkable feat given its initial exclusivity to the Switch. This success marked it as another one of Capcom's best-performing titles, proving that the series could maintain its global reach even on a portable platform. In the West, Rise was widely praised for making Monster Hunter accessible on the go, appealing to players who may not have previously had the opportunity to experience the thrill of Monster Hunter. The games do exactly what they say on the box, allowing players to hunt monsters. Monster Hunter has always known what it wants to be. From the beginning, it had a consistent core that fans can rely on. Track a monster, play any strategy, take it down, gather materials, and then craft better gear to go after even bigger prey. Sure, each game enhances this formula, but these additions build upon, rather than disrupt, the gameplay loop that makes Monster Hunter, well, Monster Hunter. But now let's talk about Dragon Age and how little respect it has for its audience. The series can't seem to decide what it wants to be. Dragon Age Origins gave fans a taste of deep tactical RPG combat, only for Dragon Age 2 to completely shift gears into an action-centric experience, abandoning the roots that first drew players in. Then came Inquisition, trying its best to jump on the open world bandwagon with uneven results that left the series feeling like it was chasing trends rather than carving its own path. By the time Dragon Age The Veilguard rolled around, fans had grown weary of this endless identity crisis, with many believing The Veilguard feels less like Dragon Age than ever before. It's no surprise really that so many long-term fans rejected the game. Who wants to commit to a franchise that's constantly abandoning its own identity? Not the majority of gamers, that's for sure. Many are proudly stuck in their ways. This is why so many gamers are looking to buy Monster Hunter Wilds, as there's none of this subverting audience expectations nonsense. The franchise knows what its fans want: giant monsters, intense battles, and a satisfying cycle of crafting and progression, and it delivers that without feeling the need to throw in contrived twists or modern reinterpretations. Each installment knows exactly what it is, respects its audience, and stays laser focused on the core gameplay that fans have loved for years. You won't find the developers bending over backwards to reinvent the wheel or dilute the experience to chase the latest gaming fad or worse, modern political issues. And when it comes to storytelling, Monster Hunter and many other Japanese games seem to know how to keep it simple and focused without all this reimagining for modern audiences nonsense. While some Western influence on decision making is unfortunately undeniable, Japanese developers seem to feel less of a need to fundamentally overhaul their characters or lore to tick boxes or align with fleeting trends overall. In Monster Hunter, you're a hunter and your job is to hunt. It's as straightforward as that. In contrast, Dragon Age has become a mess of shifting narratives and endlessly retooling itself, leaving its long-term fans doubtful it will ever remember its original strengths. This is incredibly sad, but what else can you expect from a franchise owned by EA? As for Monster Hunter Wilds specifically, the story kicks off with a boy named Nutter, who was found wandering the border of the Forbidden Lands after escaping a strange monster that attacked his village. His story sets everything into motion, and the guild, basically the hunting organisation, decides to launch an expedition to find out what's really going on in these lands. As you explore, you'll start to uncover a connection between the people who live around this dangerous area and the creatures themselves. One of the coolest things about this game is how the environment itself almost feels alive. It's split into cycles: fallow, plenty, and inclemency. These cycles affect everything. During the plenty phase, the land is rich with resources and animals are generally more relaxed. But when fallow and inclemency hit, resources become scarce and the monsters get aggressive, even hunting in packs to survive. This encourages players to adapt their hunting style during each phase, since different monsters behave differently depending on the season. Speaking of monsters, the ones here aren't your standard fantasy creatures. They've adapted to their harsh environments in interesting ways. You'll notice they behave differently depending on the conditions, and part of the challenge is learning how to track them and anticipate what they'll do next. In addition, players will have the opportunity to meet other hunters, locals, and expedition members who'll help them along the way. These people bring their own skills and perspectives, and Capcom hopes this element of the game will make players feel like they're part of a community learning about these wilds together. The idea when playing the game is that it's not just about beating monsters, it's about understanding them and the world they live in. So if you're up for exploring a world that keeps you on your toes and figuring out how to coexist and sometimes clash with nature, Monster Hunter Wilds has potentially a lot to offer. Provided it lives up to the franchise's stellar track record, of course. As mentioned, the Monster Hunter Wilds beta has taken the gaming community by storm since being made available to play. It has inspired both anticipation and valuable feedback from fans. Right from the start, it made a splash, boasting over 500,000 concurrent players on Steam within its very first hour, an undeniable testament to the game's appeal and the excitement it's generating among seasoned hunters and newcomers alike. Many felt that one of the beta's highlights was the in-depth character creation suite. With this, it seems Capcom really listened to its players by providing an array of customization options, allowing fans to create characters with incredible detail. And guess what? There is not a huge emphasis on top surgery scars. This feature, which will carry over into the full game, means that players will be able to bring their unique hunter personas from the beta straight into the main adventure without any interruption. Additionally, the beta introduced the game's story and gameplay through a cinematic opening cutscene and 2 exhilarating hunts featuring the formidable creatures Chattacabra and Doshaguma. Players found the transitions between cutscenes and gameplay to be so smooth that it added a seamless, immersive quality to the experience, blending storytelling with gameplay like never before. Cross-play support between PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC received a warm reception. It makes it easier for friends to team up and hunt together no matter what platform they're on. To sweeten the deal, Capcom rewarded beta participants with bonus items that will carry over to the full game, which is nice. Though the beta was largely a hit, a few areas for improvement emerged, and these too reflect the community's high standards and love for the Monster Hunter series. Performance issues were mentioned by some players, with visual clarity on the PS5 and frame rates on the Xbox Series S being the primary concerns. But it's worth noting that betas are a critical time for identifying and addressing such issues, and this feedback provides Capcom with the opportunity to fine-tune the game's performance across platforms, ensuring the smoothest launch experience possible. The monster AI, while challenging and dynamic, also raised some mixed feelings. Some players found that the monster's behaviour was almost too clever, with bosses frequently relocating and changing areas. This made hunts feel more authentic to a real-world hunt scenario, but also added an unexpected layer of complexity. This AI behaviour hints at a more intelligent, lifelike approach to monster encounters, pushing players to strategize and adapt, traits that Monster Hunter fans appreciate as part of the challenge. Capcom may well consider minor adjustments here, but this complex AI has the potential to deepen the thrill of each hunt for fans who enjoy the series. Rather expectedly, some players have, of course, found themselves comparing Monster Hunter Wilds to previous titles like Monster Hunter World and Rise, noting that there are areas that feel fresh but perhaps less familiar. This is common with a new entry that pushes boundaries, and Capcom's team has clearly taken steps to give Wilds a unique identity while retaining the core appeal fans know and love, which is a lot more than what can be said for Dragon Age The Veilguard. With all the positives and constructive feedback in mind, it's clear that Monster Hunter Wilds is shaping up to be an exciting addition to the franchise. Capcom now has the chance to polish and refine, ensuring a launch that meets fans' high expectations and delivers an unforgettable hunting adventure. Don't forget that by using my affiliate link, you'll score an incredible 24% discount on pre-ordering this game if you do it now, an entire quarter off, making it one of the most affordable options you'll find on launch day. Or if that's not for you, you can use my instant gaming link to get up to 90% off for thousands of other great games too, including classic Monster Hunter games. There's something here for everyone, but if you want to support what I do directly, then you can access my cosplay library and more by becoming a backer over on Patreon. I'll see you all again soon.